delegation of African leaders has arrived in the Libyan capital, Tripoli, in a bid to mediate a ceasefire between Muammar Gaddafi's forces and rebel fighters. The group includes South African President Jacob Zuma. For the very latest, let's go straight now to Tripoli and Anita McNaught. Anita, who is part of this AU mission, and is it limited to finding a ceasefire between the two sides, or does it go beyond that to finding a political transition for Libya?
Well, those are both the objectives of this mission, and one member of the wider delegation accompanying the 4 leaders, perhaps 5 leaders, we're a little uncertain about whether Uganda is here or not at the moment, is that this is Colonel Gaddafi's last chance. It is, in effect, a situation where here, with this delegation, he is among people he would regard as friends. He doesn't have a fight with Africa. They have studiously opposed the international initiative, the no-fly zone, the military intervention in the country, and the attempts to tell him to step down. Africa stood apart from all of that, even when the Arab League was meeting with them and making its own decisions to endorse the no-fly zone. The African Union stood apart. They had a meeting in London. They came up with a 5-point plan. Top of that 5-point plan was to ask for an immediate ceasefire. Included in that 5-point plan was also plans for a political transition period to meet the aspirations of the Libyan people. They are talking democratic reforms here, but their priority is a ceasefire. But the problem the Africans have, and it's the same problem that the Turks have had, it's the same problem the United Nations has, is how do we enforce a ceasefire without peacekeeping troops on the ground when neither side is ready to stop fighting?
But before even getting to the point of enforcing that ceasefire, Anita, the ceasefire would mean, wouldn't it, a status quo, the rebels holding on to Benghazi, Gaddafi controlling Tripoli. The ceasefire, if it were to be accepted by the opposition and by government forces, will it be accepted by NATO and Western powers?
Well, the problem you have is this. Both sides take the view that negotiations mustn't be taken from a position of weakness. So neither side are willing to give up the fight in a way that surrenders their advantages when it actually comes to sit down and negotiate. The other problem facing the African Union, and again, it's a problem facing all other parties trying to bring about the resolution here, is that the Tripoli side won't negotiate without Gaddafi, and the Benghazi side won't negotiate with Gaddafi in the picture. Can the African Union persuade Colonel Gaddafi to do something that might bring about a resolution of these two apparently irreconcilable positions? We also have, of course, various Western powers having laid their cards on the table and said very clearly that Colonel Gaddafi needs to be gone, that his days are numbered, the regime is illegitimate. So this is background noise to this as well. The only hope is that because there is no fight between Libya and Africa, and because they are regarded as a benevolent force here, rather than as all the other people involved in this are regarded as people with an agenda, not necessarily in Libya's interests, that Colonel Gaddafi will listen to their creative suggestions. And of course, not only Colonel Gaddafi, because once they've finished up here, they want to go to Benghazi and talk to the rebel side too.
Anita McNaught in Tripoli. Thanks very much, Anita.